Alright guys, so in this video, I'm going to share with you that my primary school has just become the latest victim for all the GLS acquisition. And now I'm going to share with you in this video, if you want to guess what primary school I was from, then you want to stay tuned to this video and continue watching. And if you have not subscribed and liked this video, this is your best time to do so. So unfortunately, my old primary school has just been under the hammer for the latest GLS announcement. And if you can guess which primary school I was from, comment below in the comment section. Yeah. All right. So with the latest news about En Bloc, about GLS, in this video, what I really want to cover is to let you know that today, based on GLS as well as En Bloc, you know, what are some of the key things us as consumers and homeowners should take note of. And we should not just look at the surface regarding the prices, regarding the land supply, and using those as an indication. So in this video, I'm going to break down the actual GLS news sites that actually means and why the En Bloc fever is not dead yet, if you are thinking so, and how this potentially is going to affect your move in next year. All right. So if you can see that for the latest news that we have, a lot of all these new up and coming GLS sites are going to be released for tender in 2026. And one of the key reasons why there are so many new GLS sites coming into the picture, stay tuned to the video because I'm going to break it down to you and share with you in specific data and research what this means to us as homeowners. And Singapore has just announced 10 major GLS sites, okay, for the first half of 2026. And I'm not going to cover the EC sites or even some of the reserve sites, and I'm going to go into the confirmed sites. I think those are more importantly. So in this video, if let's say you're kind of thinking, hey, with GLS sites coming in, so many land going on, right? Will there be an oversupply? You know, and maybe you're also thinking with so many land sites, are the developers going to be in competition with each other? And will us as consumer benefit from that kind of competition? All right, so this is also definitely something that we want to cover in this video. And the third thing that we're going to look into is that will there be an En Bloc wave coming back in 2026? I think this is very important for us to take note of. And so if let's say today, you have opened up the newspaper or even online and then you kind of see all this information. So this is where we're going to dive in deeper. And for some of you, you may be wondering what are the launches that is coming up in the near 2026. These are the numbers, and we have compiled every single projects based on their prices. If you can see, we have actually indicated the land details, the estimated units, as well as the estimated break-even price for every individual launch that was tendered a couple of years ago and going to be released in 2026. So we've compiled this entire list. And if you want a copy of this, you can actually just scan the QR code so that you do not get missed out during the 2026 new launch season, right? And most importantly is if you have been, you know, chasing new launches after year after year, right? And you kind of going to nowhere, all right? Your ballot number are no good, and you kind of like you wanted to get something, you want to enter the market, but you do not know how. Perhaps you can scan the QR code and kind of reach out to us for a second opinion. And we can also share with you upcoming launches. Are there really good value properties that you should look at? Or could there be other options that you can look into? All right, so I think this is very important for us as homeowners when we are buying for properties, be it whether it's a resale or a new launch in the marketplace. So the one thing that I realized that they kind of have a lot of confusion in the market. And many consumers always think that, hey, when there's GLS, when the government release out the land, the prices will be cheaper, okay? And for the older generation folks, they may think that, hey, when there's an En Bloc going on, it will actually push up prices. And of course, for you and I, if let's say we are under the upgraders category, right? Many of us could be thinking, oh, maybe I should just wait first. Since the prices like last 1.5 years went up so high after COVID, maybe let's wait for it to stabilize. And let's say if you are an investor today, you may be thinking, the developer, they overpaid for the land. I'm not going to look into it. So let me just sit on the sidelines and see what happens. And I will laugh at those people who bought those property at the pricing. All right, so I'm going to show you in a short while in this video, right, that a lot of people are not talking about. Okay, we're talking about analysis as well as the comparison between mainstream media. And with that, right, one of the research that we have actually done, right, is that one of the key things why we are also anticipating that there will be more land being released. And one of the key things you must take note that the GLS sites recent years are not the mega projects as what we have from Riverfront, you know, Tampines at Treasure and Tampines, or even the floral residences where they are like 1,000 to 1,200 plus units, right? And so even though there is a lot of numbers of GLS sites, but the total number of units that is going to be released is not even close enough to the number of units in the past, right? And one of the key reasons why the government is releasing the land is also to keep up with the kind of population growth that we are having. And if you can see that right now, the population actually grew about 1.2%. Oops, 1.2%. Let me just change the color. Okay, grew by 1.2% to 6.11 million. And if you have followed my video for the longest time, you know that there is a target that we have set in since 2012 in terms of our white paper. And the magic figure is to hit at least 6.9 million population. All right, by when? By 2030. So if you ask me from these numbers and the number of ownerships in Singapore, right, I do not think we will be able to hit the 6.9 million, but they do have a secondary number that they are looking for, which is 6.5 million. And I think this is definitely achievable because if you look at the overall population growth, right, for the last 5 years, and these are all, you can see a majority of them are still the citizens, of course. But in recent years, we are seeing that the non-residents has actually increased quite a fair bit, right? So if you can see, the numbers has jumped significantly over the years. And the PR has always been quite, you know, comfortable at the 9% mark or so. And this is also a reason why we must understand that in Singapore, we are already in a aging population group, okay? And with that, the details of the age group when aging population is increasing, meaning the number of people in Singapore is definitely drastically going to reduce. And on the other flip side, we are not having enough babies. We are not giving birth fast enough. All right, nobody is making babies anymore. And this also has been highlighted in the recent research. Let me show you that based on the latest research, right, the number of family members are also shrinking. You see, for a lot of them are choosing to have dogs instead of having kids, okay, in what we see. And if you can see from this data, this is the latest 2024. Yeah, so it's gone out the days that you have like 5 kids. If you have a 5 kids right now, you're like 绝种, you know, limited edition. So it's very, very rare. And even for 4 kids or even 3 kids is also kind of very rare right now. The 1 to 2 is going to be the new norm. And this is also the reason why it also impacted our entire population growth. And Singapore are always very stringent. They definitely do not want things to happen first and they have no time to react. So if we base on this entire information, right, we must understand that today with this target of population, they are definitely having more GLS sites. And this is why in this video, we're going to cover where are the sites for this GLS and what happens next. All right. And if you can look at the another information from a macro view, right, this is what I highlighted about the aging population. Okay, the aging population, because this is also very important for us to take note of in terms of the citizens that is age 80 and above. Okay, you can see the numbers are increasing very, very quickly, okay, over 2019 to 2024. So these numbers are definitely going to be increasing more, and that is also one of the reasons why in terms of overall population, there must be ways for Singapore to inject more people into the market. All right. So with this, right, I also want to kind of share with you, because of the master plan 2026, I'm actually going to be doing a very detailed breakdown very soon in the 2026 period. And so right now we're kind of still researching some of the key areas so that we can let you have the latest update. Where are the locations that you should be moving forward into in the next 3 or even 5 years down the road. So if you find that you really want to kind of use the urban planning as well as master plan to kind of plan your own property journey in the next 5 to 10 years, then you can comment below. All right, just comment below master plan, and when we have the video, we will actually send it out to you. And if you want to get notified, just click on the bell somewhere around the video, so that every time when we are releasing out new videos, you will be notified of what we are doing. All right, so let's get back to this. All right, so thanks to Stack Homes, we actually have a very nice map that highlights about the current GLS land sites, and of course it's been segregated into the confirmed sites as well as the reserve sites. So in this video, I'm only going to cover the confirmed sites, and later on I'll share with you a little bit of the what does it mean for confirmed as well as reserve sites. So in all, right, with this upcoming land sales, so do take note, this is not the next year's properties coming into the market. All right, this is just a tender, meaning they are releasing this amount of land for developers to bid, and there will be an estimated kind of number of units the developers can build on each site. Okay, so this is what this map is all about. And so with 7 confirmed and 3 reserved, right, we're talking about in total, including all the ECs, we're talking about close to 4,500 units for this 10 sites. Okay, and if you can look at the spread, right, we're kind of quite spread out, you know, in terms of OCR, CCR, and RCR, and there's a kind of a good mix of properties, more towards the central, because whatever that has been released out in Lentor, even in Woodlands area, more or less has really been settled. Okay, and that's why there will be more focus moving forwards towards the nearer the center of Singapore as we look into the next 1 to 2 years, and this will have a very huge impact in terms of your positioning for your property journey. Okay, and so let us just dive in straight into which are the sites that has been confirmed, and we're going to cover 7 of them. All right, so the first one is Holland Plain. Okay, so Holland Plain is designated to be in 2026 February during Chinese New Year period, where they will kind of launch it for tender. And this site, if you can look at it, is estimated about 280 units. And this is something that I also shared just now in the beginning. A lot of the sites currently being released, they are not mega. They are not even like 900 to even 1,000 units. Most of them are very mid-size, like 200 plus to even 500 units. So this has a lot to do with the scarcity of land in Singapore, and thus it's also very impossible for them to always release big land. So there are 2 things that I noticed why the smaller land plots are being released by the government. It's because, first of all, the financial situation of different markets. All right, so the economy does plays a part, that even for developers, they themselves, remember, they are also very much impacted by economy and whatever is going on in the world, right? So if we as consumers, we have an impact in terms of our interest paying, our mortgages, our employment that we are worried about, can you believe that the developers are also more worried how the market is going to be? So that is also one of the reasons, if recent years you can see there's more consortium of developers. So instead of one mega developers going into one project, right, it is actually comprising of different multiple developers coming together and to go for it. So this also kind of reduces the risk of how the developers are playing the game. So the question I want to ask every one of you here, if developers are so much okay with consortium and going into the marketplace, why is it that consumers like us or even investors like you are not thinking about maybe combining resources together so that you kind of lower down your risk at the same time, right? This is just food for thought, just to share with you. Yeah, so with the Holland Plain site, right, what we are seeing is that today, this is definitely in the Bukit Timah Greenbelt area. And one of the key thing in this location, I will believe, is the you kind of have a first mover advantage. Okay, so and with this, first of all, this location you can't run too far away. How we have kind of a recent years development that has already been highlighted quite a fair bit in this location. So it's nothing new. But with this, you can see that there's kind of a new rejuvenation going on that was started from Holland Residences, and then now even in this area, you have the Sky at Holland that recently was launched and was doing very, very well in terms of the take-up rate. Yeah, so when you are in this location, you can't run too far away from having the premium location as well as the lifestyle. But of course, for locations like this, I always stress if you are looking for a quick getaway, all right, when I mean a quick getaway, meaning after the 4 years SSD, if you're intending to kind of switch it out for another property, this kind of locations I will advise against. The reason is because the maturity of the location, if you're talking about from 4 to 5 years, it could be a little bit too short. But if you're talking about anything beyond 10 years of holding period, right, I think this kind of locations will play out very, very well. So do take note, not all properties you're able to kind of keep it very short term, like 4 to 5 years, and then you can swap it out for another property to climb your property ladder journey, right? That's the reason why when we are advising clients in, it really depends on your structure, what's your objective, and what's the timeline. Then we can actually fit the correct property to you and eliminate 90% of the properties out there that doesn't work for you. Okay, so this is, I think this property will definitely be very interesting. Up next, you will have Bayshore. Wow, this one definitely the top of the town for the last 2 years. And so interestingly, after releasing out the Bayshore site, right, that was won by Cindior, this is the next one. And this is going to be integrated property, because if you can see right now, of course, on the other side is actually where the interchange is going to be. Okay, so so the entire Bayshore is going to be redeveloped. So sometimes I also kind of think back, did I sell my Costa del Sol too soon? Okay, so when it was that period just before the tail line, we actually make a decision to actually offload one of our 18 years old Costa del Sol property. One way, of course, we make a decent profit out of it because we'll be keeping it for 18 years, right? But at the same time, this could be some of the homeowners' mistake is they overstay in their property. And so if you really want to kind of find out like what goes behind my mind when we were making this decision, even though we know that the MRT is going to be really very soon, we also know that there are plans for this Bayshore GLS sites to rejuvenate the entire area with HDBs and condo. Why did we still make that decision to offload way before all this transformation are doing? All right, so you can actually comment or reach out to me directly. I will share with you what is in mind, and perhaps you could actually learn something out from there as well. All right, so this Bayshore site, we're talking about multiple plot of land still unused lah. So if you look at Bayshore site, right, basically this is the plot where Cindior bidded. So we are talking about there's kind of quite a fair bit of land still available, and of course you have your HDB. So this definitely will be like a small cluster of properties where they will definitely inject not just about the developments but also amenities. And this is also recently they also upgraded the community center, all right, to make it a little bit more comfortable. And all these are, so whenever there's infrastructure going on in your neighborhood, that is an indicator that there will be more things to come. And I believe based on the Bayshore master plan, right, they are definitely going to inject more what they call this, the infrastructure, amenities, and accessibility is really there with the town line, right? So these are all upcoming. And if you can recall, how much did Cindior actually bidded for the Bayshore plot at $1,388 per square foot? So if you have followed my video previously, I did give you a very quick, easy formula to calculate how much the per square foot in terms of sale price is going to be. All right, so if you have not, you can actually check out the video in the top video somewhere, click on it. And a simple way is you just have the ×2, and this, which means that this will be easily a square foot when they are launching. All right, of course, this is just a guide price. And if we use that guide to translate to today's marketplace, right, you can see that for Zion Grand, when they launched their per square foot per PPR and the average selling pricing, you have Promenade Peck at $3,003, and then we have Penrith at $2,008. So if you look at for the Bayshore side, right, they are definitely going to be at least the 2,007K per square foot range, right? so that is the reason why also Pen Reef or even some of the other properties, right, they are deemed in terms of affordability, very safe to enter because you're nearer to town, you're in definitely a better prime district. And that's why for the Bayshore that Cindior actually bidded, this sets a new benchmark of prices. And what we realize is after that, all the developers kind of use it as a benchmark and then increase their prices from there. All right, because it makes no sense, right? If an OCR is already commanding at $2,700 per square foot, if I'm in RCR, I should not be commanding at 2007. I should be easily 2008 to even 2009. Then the spin-off will go for the CCR, where they will say that, no brainer, why should I be selling at 2007 when OCR is already at 2007? So I will be looking at 3000. And this is how the Ripple domino effect goes in terms of prices. Because, my friend, today developers are bidding their land, they have a lot of risk to undertake. And also with high risk means high return. So this is something that you need to understand. And the more you can understand how developers do their planning and do their acquisition, right, the better you can be as a homeowner, purchaser, as well as an investor. All right. So looking at this, of course, the next site that, if you ask me, will be highly sought after looking at the past results of recent months, right, is the Rivergreen, River Valley, River Valley area. So this will be the new plot that is in orange. Okay, so so this is kind of a revival of the entire CCR kind of zone, right? It kicks off with Rivergreen, and then we have Promenade Peck, then we have Zion Grand. So kind of there's a lot of attention going on in this location. And not forgetting, this property will be able to yield at least 470 units. So the questions that we have been getting from a lot of people are like, wow, with so many different properties, right, will there be a chance where the oversupply of properties? So what I've done was I mapped it out to kind of give you a better clarity of what are the plots, and we will see the prices in a short while. So right now, if we're talking about the new ones, let's not just only focus on the new one, right? We have the Rivergreen site, okay? And then, of course, after that was the Promenade Peak, and then we have Zion Grand, okay? So out of all this, the next plot that has already been bidded and going to be launched will be plot 4, and this is Rivermodern by Land, right? So you can see, although they are kind of, all of the sites are kind of irregular except for Promenade Peak as well as Zion Grand. The Rivergreen, Rivermodern, and the new River Valley site are kind of odd shape. Okay, but today, I think with odd shapes, developers are creative enough to make sure that the rooms are not going to be odd shape. All right, but again, we have not seen the plan for Rivermodern yet. But we are very excited because we are very excited to see it because Quay products are actually got standard. So we're kind of exciting to see that. Yeah. So with this, there will always be this one question. Wow, with so many properties, will there be an oversupply? But looking at the purchase sentiment, the demand is actually very, very high. Especially if you have remember for Rivergreen, actually a lot of the units have been sold. I think largely due to the lower pricing quantum. So the developer are very smart to kind of make every size smaller, so the entry is so much easier for them to just accept. And then you have Prominent Peak, which is kind of a little bit lukewarm because of their layout. And Zion Grand kind of 50-50, right? You have good layouts, you have good space in terms of the development. The only question is, are you heng enough to get the ballot number to purchase the type of unit you want and at the price that you can afford? All right, so that is why sometimes launches are really a gamble. But at the same time, there could be other developments that could be worth your consideration factors instead of just chasing some of all these launches. So since you are in River Valley, right, I just want to draw your attention on roughly what's the pricing. So you at least you have some ideas to kind of anticipate when the River Valley Green C plot is being launched in April 2026, right? You can kind of understand and see what happens. All right, so let me just draw your attention again. So these are the map of all the different sites, so you can have a better idea. And so we have Rivergreen on top, which is number 1. you have Promenade Peck number 2, Zion Grand number 3, and then Rivermodern number 4. And so if you look at the new pricing, right, so this is where Rivergreen land bid was at 1,325 and their average launch was about 3,001. So if you use the formula, that is basically about the break-even price, and then they still have to add on the profits and everything. So if you use my simple formula times 2, right, then you can agak know how much their profit margin is. Of course, that's not like 100%, but that's an estimate that you can use it as a reference point. Promenade Peck at 1,003, they sold it about close to 3,000. Zion Grand at 1,002, which is the lowest in terms of per plot ratio when they bid it. But yet at the same time, did they launch it lower? They did not. Okay, so they actually went ahead and match it to the current market sentiment prices. So on average, Rivermodern, just take note the latest launch. If you have missed out Zion Grand, Promenade Peck, or even Rivergreen, and you want to go for the ballot kind to pull your chance and hope and pray that you can get a good number, right? Then Rivermodern is something that you need to be aware of, which is definitely going to be launched in 2026. But do take note that their land bid price is at $1,420. All right, so this is something that you need to prepare yourself in. So if you're in the idea that, they are going to sell cheaper because a lot of the other units are not sold yet, so the developer will be very nice to us and they will sell cheaper than the others, then you can continue to wait. Okay. Again, developers are always in the mind of business. So if they have bidded the land for a higher pricing, they do need to factor in all their costs and all their risks. So right now, we do not have the pricing yet. But if you just use a simple formula, would it be launching easily $3,100 per square foot? I think the chances are very, very high. Okay, of course, as we go closer to the development, we will also be sharing with you more of these updates accordingly. So let me just pull back and give you a quick overview based on the numbers, right? As of today, let me just draw attention. So as of today, right, this is my projection. Okay, if let's say we use the latest Rivermodern, and why do I want to share with you this? Because this Rivermodern will set the new benchmark price for the new plot that is going to be released in April 2026 for the developers to bid. So if the developer sees that, the prices and the demand can accept $3,001 per square foot, it also shows that the developers could want to more aggressively pay higher for the land there. All right, so that they can secure, since the pricing has already been set, and it has proven that people will willing to pay even at $3,100 per square foot for Rivergreen, Zion Grand at close to 3,000 per square foot, Promenade Peck 3,000, and Sky Holland already at 3,000. So it will definitely be above $3,000 per square foot. So as of now, the last that I checked, in terms of the numbers of supply in the place, it also plays a part for developers to strategically bid for those land. So Rivergreen at the moment, we're talking about at least 91.6% sold. Okay, so meaning not much supply. And for Promenade Peck, it's about 66.4% sold. And Zion Grand is about 86.12% sold, right? So why is this important for you to know as a consumer? Because today, if let's say you are a developer and you realize that area in River Valley, there's a lack of supply. So when there's a drop of supply, what happens to prices? Okay, prices will always go up. So then the developers could also have this mentality and want to bid aggressively for this area because first, it has already been proven the demand is there. Second, they are able to perhaps make a better product with a higher price because the buyers are already accepting the prices that has been stated here. So all this plays a part for our future 2-3 years down the road new prices in River Valley. All right, so this is something that we are always looking at as a forward thinking. But today, if let's say you are kind of, you wanted to go for Zion Grand or even the Promenade Peck or Rivergreen, and due to whatever reason, you couldn't buy them due to size, due to price, whichever, or the selection of the units, right? Then maybe you want to actually reach out to us so that we can kind of help you to kind of pinpoint what other properties are out there that could fit into your criteria. All right, again, I'm not into chasing launches. All right, more importantly is how we can help you to decide on your purchase with all the research and data and numbers accordingly. All right. So this is why this is so much about Rivergreen, River Valley, right? Because there's a lot of things going on. So let's move forward to some of the areas where we may not be so familiar, especially in the recent years. So this one, if you can see, this is definitely in the Newton area. So only Newton for many years, actually, nobody was looking at it. The last craze was during Purmei period, as well as what's the other, Copa area, right? So those are the kind of two that kind of balloon up for Newton. Then after that, it was a standstill. There was nothing going on, and only the recent news that came out for Newton. So let us just study this plot a little bit. So the red color plot is the one, and this can yield in about 315 units. So again, it's not a big development. It's not a mega development, but it's a good size, you know, and definitely 315 units, it allows for the transactions to move. Facilities, you will have very comfortable facilities. So it's not too small where you don't get anything, and it's not too big until you are quite crazy that you need to queue to go to swimming pool, or not that kind of level. All right. So one thing you must understand that Newton, this is like the second plot. Okay, the second plot that was released, because the first plot that was released was sold for $1,820 per square foot. That can yield about 340 units. That's why sometimes I find it a little bit sneaky lah. Or sometimes when they launch a site, right? Like the first time when this site was launched, it was the first site in Newton after nearly 20 years. Okay, and they use this kind of drawing for the developers to bid, and of course, give and take, this one is very close to the MRT. Okay, you are very close to the MRT, and I believe this is also one of the draw why developers pay for it. And the next plot that is going to be released in April 2026 is further away, but also not too far lah. You know, sometimes Singaporean quite spoiled lah. 1 minute walk was already very far already. But of course, I have to say that for myself also lah. 1 street away, I also drive lah, to be honest. Okay, so how many of you also do that? 1 street or 2 street away, you rather just drive over, you know, not under the hot sun. All right, but at least that's me. Yeah, so this property, if you ask me, even though it's in the CCR, because of the rareness of this, the players will want to go in and kind of start to rejuvenate this entire location. And if you have driven down to Newton, Novena area, you will have known that there's a lot of activities going on. We're talking about changing of lanes, changing of roads, because of the opening up of all the cross-island line, not so cross-island line, the north-south corridor. So Newton and Novena becomes kind of the center of the entire north-south corridor. And that is also one of the reasons why there may be some pointers that we can actually take note of in this location. But right now it's still too early, because we are not getting too much information about what are going to happen in Newton in terms of transformation. And I have very strict 5 criteria for transformation that it has to match before we should go in. All right, it's not about there's a new MRT, we go in. It's also not about, oh, they built a new shopping mall and then we go into that location. These are very common criteria. Okay, the 5 criteria you look at are a little more in-depth, and that's how we get our clients to eliminate 90% of their properties out there that we cannot buy one. Okay, we totally filter them off because we don't even want to consider them, and we will only work on the 10% that will fit our timeline, fit our affordability, as well as our objective. Very important. All right, so coming back, the next one is Bellayer Drive. Okay, so in case you do not know where Bellayer Drive is, this one is near to the Keppel side already. Okay, this one is near to the Keppel side. And this year can yield about 415 units. Again, you see the numbers are not very big. So if you ask me, this site will be quite interesting. For the longest time, we have been talking about Greater Southern Waterfront since 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And that's the unfortunate truth that some of the developments are being sold to the consumers with this GSW in their pitch. All right, which it will not happen anytime soon. So I don't want to name the projects, but there are some properties out there that is very near to Keppel that the sales pitch is all about, oh, this is part of GSW, so everything they use GSW lah. But are you aware when GSW is going to be materialized? Okay, there are indications of 2030, all right, as a starting point only. So by the time they have kind of complete everything in terms of infrastructure, how many years are we talking about? So for Bellayer, if you ask me, this could be the start of the first GSW kind of configuration. All right, it could be, but we're still studying a little bit more because ultimately those who are buying into this location, right, they are really looking at privacy. All right, if you have taken reflection as a guideline, the lifestyle is the people there, they can lose on even if they probably don't grow, they can lose. But the only concern is the tenure of the property. That's all. All right. But if you're talking about lifestyle, hey, this could be something worth to even consider. And because this is the start, right? So this is the new one. And if you can look at, there's another one here, right? Was actually built by Kingsford development. And it seems like they also want to catch a pie of this GSW, or maybe they are being sold the idea of GSW. That's why they went in first. So if you can look at Kingsford for the purple color site just now that I shared with you, they actually bid first. All right, they bid first. So this is something that I believe, if you ask me from a moving advantage perspective, okay, because so one of the key things that I always look at whenever I navigate our client's property and our own property is, will you want to go into a location and wait 10 years for it to happen? All right, so this criteria you have to ask yourself, right? So I rather go into an area maybe that's already semi-matured. I may be paying a little bit more, but I do have more security about what is going to happen. So for locations like this in Bellayer, I have my own thoughts that if given a choice, unless there's no choice, this is the only GLS, or this is the only development during then they're selling, then maybe if you want to deploy your funds to it, then you go for it. But if given me, I have other choices, this would definitely not be on my top choice at the moment, all right, because there are other options. But when they are bidded and when they're developed, they could be 5 years down the road. A lot of things could have changed, all right? So if you ask me, out of all the 7 plots of confirmed land, this one will be the big players. They are able to hold on to their property. They got deep pockets. Then this may be a different playing field, or if you ask me. All right, another one. So New Upper Changi Road. Oh, for the longest time, Bedok has never seen much things. I think the last one was Bedok Residences, and everything was happening in East Coast Amber Road area, right? And the recent Grand Diamond, Continuum, as well as Tembusu, everything was clustered. So Bedok kind of like nobody is talking about. But with the enhancement of Bayshore coming up, Bedok South coming up, I believe there will be some new rejuvenation going on. And that's why this is the suicide note of my primary school. Also, my primary school is used to be this location. All right, so I was from Temasek Primary School. So if any one of you are also alumni of Temasek Primary School in this old site, not the new site. The new site is further up in Bedok South. Even secondary school, they also shifted, right? So in the past, it used to be secondary school here and then primary school here. So, yep. So my old school is going to be under the hammer for GLS configuration. So, yeah, for the longest time, I was wondering when this site was going to be redeveloped. And I remember driving past, and one of the year, I think just 2 to 3 years ago, I would say this site definitely will be released for properties very soon. And here we are. All right. So sometimes when this is what I like to do whenever I drive and then I kind of see certain plots and I see the potential of it, then I kind of will go and study whether how many units are we able to build. Why would the government want to build a residential plot there? So these are all the things that we kind of look at it and on the surface only, but I like to dive in a little bit deeper, because this site, right, you can see it will yield the number first 1,000 units. Okay, so this will be 1,000 units, and I believe this is also going to be very highly sought after. The only consideration factor is that the MRT is a little bit further away, because you have to kind of cross the road. But then Bedok Residences integrated mall is there. So everything is well situated, very well for that. All right, so these are some of the things that you need to take note. And if you can see, interestingly, what we're seeing is that our new Upper Changi Road is getting 1,000 over units. And if we go back, right, let me just go back to show you the Bayshore site is also having a very large number of units. Come, let's go back to Bayshore. You see, so this Bayshore site that they're doing is at 1,280 units. So can you imagine 2,000 units? I mean, anything 1,000, I would call it a mega project, right? But 2,000 plus units just in the eastern side of Singapore. What does this tell us as well? All right, so these are all hints and indicators for us as homeowners and consumers, right? To kind of take that note and see how it pans out. And this will help you a lot in your planning for your property in future and not just blindly look into it. All right. So let us go back into Upper Changi Road. Yeah, so I need to maybe drive bus and say goodbye to my school. I still remember because yeah, I still remember very fondly. We kind of go by the back gate and then we go into Opera Estate. So it used to be a big canal, but it was already filled up. So there was a lot of flooding issue in Opera Estate if you are familiar with the east side. Yeah, so if you have not known, I'm a Easterner. So I know the east on the back of my hand. I started my business in property, also in the east side, doing a lot of landed and private property. So I know all these properties in and out. All right, so if you are a neighbor there, all right, say hi to me if you see me walking past. And I'd like to frequent there for the prata lah. Okay, I always like to go there for prata. So sometimes you can see me. If you want to see me, then spot me there. Yeah, so yes, whatever that is old and history will go down in the record book that I was part of this, and I can call the new site my old school in future. All right, come moving forward. We have Lorong Puntong. All right, Lorong Puntong, very small unit lah. Okay, only 140. So this site also, if you ask me, it's kind of a little bit boutique, but it's not like too small lah. Okay, but in a location like this, I do have my concerns. Okay, even though the only thing that if you ask me that is a saving grace is Aitong School lah. Oh, so even if it's 140 units, I believe developers will just want to quickly do it, build it up, sell it off, and then move forward to their next project. And this is something that we kind of I anticipate because 140 units in this location may not favor the homeowners. Okay, in this location, 300 to 400, 500 will be more stable. But the close proximity to Aitong, meaning if you are an investor and you just want to rent it out for people who want those schools, address, or whatever, this could play out well. And if I'm the developers, I definitely will not be looking at too big a unit. I will just go all the small ones and just sell it off once and for all. But again, I'm not a developer, right? So let's see how this land plot goes. Okay, let's see how this land plot goes. All right, so of course, other than the 7 confirmed sites, we have the other, we call it the reserve sites. Okay, so we have Morrison. So out of all, right, if you ask me, Morrison and Kitchener will be the 2 that I find a little bit more interesting in. Okay, and let me just give you a quick preview where the locations are. I'm not going to go into the other details. Yeah, so for Morrison, right, we're talking about 200 units and 750 space for commercial, because this is going to be a mixed development kind of arrangement. So this is something that is definitely more interesting. And if you can see from a location perspective, right, this location has always been kind of covered with a lot of different type of properties. All the purple ones are all the different properties, right? And in recent years, we are seeing a rejuvenation of this location. Okay, it started with even Canning Head Piers, and then we have Union Square. So there are a lot more activities going on in that location. So it may not be such a bad thing to actually start exploring into this Robertson Quay area. Yeah, so one of the strategies that we actually went into about 4 years ago, I was already starting to kind of study around this area, and we start seeing developments are being kind kind of change of plans, and we started to acquire units here as well. All right, so like for example, Union Square, the Pier, some of all these properties I'm sure you're also aware of. And so right now, of course, things has really been moved. But the key thing is that if you are able to kind of study GLS with a master plan, with your urban planning, you could actually make a move way ahead before all these news are being out. So we are kind of fortunate that 3 years ago, actually 2 years ago, we actually already went into this location to acquire some of the units, and now we are reaping in the rewards because things are changing. All right, so always remember, when you want to kind of have a faster growth in your property, there must be changes. Okay, you don't just buy because you're familiar with the area, or you kind of like hoping this location will change. There must be certain facts to back it up. All right, so this is what we do on a daily basis lah. Also with this, the next site that I find that it will also be garnering a lot of interest is the Kitchener area. All right, so this is the Kitchener area. So the last new launch that was in Kitchener was 30 residences, and that was back in maybe 2018, 2017. Yeah, so if you're asking any new properties out there, there's none. So this GLS site definitely will be able to command a different wave of pricing. But that says you have to understand, when you're comparing with the rest of the developments, a lot of them are already more than 18 years old. All right, so you being a new kid on the block in future, it could make you as an advantage. Okay, why do I dare to say this? Because 30 residences is a classic example. It was more expensive, but surrounding, because they're older and their plot size is bigger, the entry level is much higher. So a lot of people are able to accept 30 residences. But at the same time, there's not a lot of people selling it because of the convenience of the location. So with this Kitchener location that comes in, whoever gets bidder it, right, and they're going to put it out in the marketplace, I 100% guarantee, okay, 100% guarantee it's going to be a hot favorite. But the question is whether you get to buy it or not. That's a different story, because this plot of land is under the reserve list. Okay, so whether they will release it out or not, it really depends on the situation of the market, all right, and also whether do they need to release out this additional land for sale, depending on the 10 sites, right? So that's how confirmed lists as well as reserve lists are being done. Okay, so these are something. So to give you a quick overview, like, you know, based on the recent numbers, and there are some land bids you already kind of know the prices. So from here, you have to ask yourself is, based on the logic, based on the facts, will prices actually come down even beyond 2026, right? Because a lot of misconception, if you ask me, people will say that, oh, because there's a lot of land out there for sale, so prices will drop, all right? That may not be the case, because even for the last couple of years, when we have more GLS, the prices actually went up almost 2.7% in just the first 9 months, all right? The second misconception a lot of people always kind of fall into is that GLS is cheaper because if you have en bloc more expensive, but GLS is cheaper. But right now, with construction costs going up, you know, your labor costs, then there's not a lot of land. Basically, Singapore is a scarcity of land, right? Limited land. And that will also means that in terms of prices, in terms of our cost of acquisition, is going to increase, all right? And sometimes I also heard about a lot of consumers saying that, those who bought Chuan Park, Kingsford, crazy lah, so expensive, right? I mean, if you can remember that time, then when they he bought Bayshore, they will say, so expensive, I think they overpriced, crazy, cannot sell. But if you look at today's marketplace and you look back, you know, did they actually make a right choice to acquire a unit first? So why am I sharing with you this? Because the developers' behavior and us as a normal consumer, it actually is not much different. Okay, it's the same way. If developers are concerned about purchasing the property, they will just not buy and they will continue to wait. But they also understand the longer they wait, their cost of acquisition is only going to go increase. So today, my friend, if you have been holding back because you cannot accept the prices that has went up so high versus 2 months ago or even 6 months ago, you need to really sit down and get a second opinion to really understand how property market in Singapore works. If not, you will constantly be chasing and you are unable to get the units. All right. So you can reach out to us. Let us help you to make a decision. All right. On whether you want or you don't want, instead of you going circle and circle and circle. Or because there are a few things that we look at, and these are some of the things that we look at very in depth. Okay, before we even enter into the property market. All right. We're talking about supply cycle timing. We're talking about the household formation, developer land banking. All right. So I always share that if today you have an additional knowledge that you can think how the developer thinks, then you are one up than other people. Right? So of course, in this video, I'm not going to cover too much of this, but if you find that this is something that you as a homeowner or investor, you believe some of these things can help you to have a better appreciation, allows you to make safer decisions, allow you to see clearer of your directions and your objective, then perhaps you can let us know and put in a comment that you like to know more of this, and we'll see how we can actually guide to help you. Maybe I can even do a video about this period. All right. So that's why these are very important for us to actually guide you through. And one of the key things that I always share is that today you cannot discount the fact that many people are buying because of hype. Okay, whenever there's a cluster of new launches like the last 2 years, a lot of people are buying based on frenzy. They never really study well that is this the project that they want to go for, or is it good enough for them? So that's the reason why we disqualified 90% of the properties out there. And in our sessions with our clients, or even with you in the future, right, is we want to help you to map out your 3 moves so that you never buy blind again. And at the same time, how can we eliminate and filter off all the 90% of properties out there, right, that doesn't meet our objective? All right, you cannot just guess your way into the marketplace, my friend. You need to make sure that you exit correctly before you even enter. All right, so if you find that whatever you learn today and you find that, hey, how we're doing things in terms of property does make sense and it relates to you, you can always scan the QR code and reach out to us for a second opinion. And let's see how we can help you to navigate your journey in property safer, with directions and with clarity. Okay, I think that's very, very important for you before you even start thinking, oh, I want to sell my property. All right, the days where today a lot of homeowners are selling first without even knowing what's going to happen, to me, I find that that's very high risk. All right, so with that, I hope that you have enjoyed today's session. And if you have not followed me, you have not subscribe as well as like the video, this is your last chance to do so. But of course, you can do it in other videos as well. All right, so I see you guys very soon in the next video of what I need to do. Cheers.